We get this question all the time from people in IT. How do I actually prove I'm ready for a serious cloud job? And more, the answer seems to be this one certification, the AZ-104 from Microsoft. But preparing for it feels like a huge mountain to climb. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to prepare for and pass the Azure Administrator exam. Let's just start with the basics. What exactly is the AZ-104? It's the core certification for Azure administrators, focusing on 5 heavy-hitting domains: identity, storage, compute, networking, and monitoring. It's a 100-minute exam that tests if you can actually manage a company's cloud infrastructure using tools like PowerShell and JSON templates.
Exactly. And what people often miss is that it's not a multiple choices memory test. It's a simulation of real-world scenarios. You aren't just picking an answer, you're proving you won't accidentally delete a company's database while trying to configure a virtual machine. In the cloud world, AZ-104 is the line between being a user and being an admin. It's the difference between consuming resources and controlling them.
Right. It sounds like the difference between knowing what a car is versus being the mechanic who can actually fix it.
It's more like being the mechanic who can rebuild the engine while the car is still moving. And here's the real aha moment. Microsoft has removed the formal prerequisites. You don't need their fundamental certification first anymore. But honestly, that's a double-edged sword. It makes the entry barrier lower, but the failure rate is way higher for people who haven't spent real time in the Azure portal.
So it's a high bar exam that demands real-world skin in the game. But once you decide to take the plunge, the next logical question is, how much is this going to set you back? Financially, the AZ-104 is relatively accessible. The exam fee itself is about $165 USD. And if you play your cards right with free resources on Microsoft Learn, you could potentially get certified for under $200. Plus, there's a renewal system to keep your skills from becoming obsolete.
Right? And a critical pro tip here that people always forget, always use a personal Microsoft account for registration, not your work email. If you switch jobs, you don't want your hard-earned certification trapped in your former employer's IT system. It belongs to you, not them. Honestly, that $165 exam fee is the cheapest part of the process. The real cost is the 60 hours of brain sweat you spend in the lab.
That's a really smart move. So the cost is manageable and the renewal system keeps you sharp. Now, let's talk about the actual battle plan. How do you actually pass this thing without burning out? When it comes to studying, there seem to be 2 main paths. You have the 15-day sprint for the brave, or the more realistic 1 to 2 month plan for those of us with a day job. The key is balancing Microsoft Learn's free modules with hands-on labs, specifically focusing on the networking and identity sections, which seem to carry the most weight.
I've seen so many people fail because they treated it like a history test. They read all the documentation but never actually open the Azure portal. You have to get in there and break things in the free sandbox environment to understand how to fix them in the exam. Don't study to pass the exam, study to survive your first day as an admin.
That makes sense. So where do people get stuck the most?
The real secret? Networking. It's the hidden boss of the AZ-104. Most IT people are comfortable with servers and storage, but they hit a brick wall with virtual networks, subnets, and peering. My advice is to look at some of the material for the AZ-700, which is the dedicated networking exam. If you can master those networking basics, the AZ-104 suddenly becomes about 30% easier.
So master the network, live in the sandbox, and don't rush the process. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but it sounds like the finish line is definitely worth it.
Absolutely. To sum it up, focus on the hands-on stuff, especially networking and identity. Plan for the $165 exam fee, but remember the real investment is your time. And please, register with a personal account. Finally, remember this isn't a one-and-done thing. You have to renew it every year with a free online assessment, which is Microsoft's way of ensuring you're keeping up. It's not just a certificate. It's a commitment to staying current in a field that changes every single day.